right, good evening, everyone. Let's get started here. And Amanda, if you could please take roll.
Mayor Roberts,
Here.
Councilmember Valento,
Here.
Councilmember Miller,
Here.
Councilmember Erickson,
Here.
Councilmember Larson.
All right, and if you're able, please join us in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Council, we have an agenda in front of us. Anyone willing to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have an agenda. No awards or presentations this evening. We'll go right into open forum. This is an opportunity for anyone to come speak to the council. Please limit to around 3 minutes and state your name and address for the record. All right, we have one on here, and I'm not going to butcher your last name again, but Jamie, please come on up. Just so we know, how does the pronunciation?
Thank you, Mayor. Jamie Deichman.
Deichman, thank you.
I live at 56 7th Street Northwest, and I'm also running for City Council. I didn't get to say that last time I was here.
Yeah, great.
Anyway, thanks for having me and for listening to my comments and questions here. It might go a little out of order. During the last council meeting, there was discussion about the TVs here in the council room. I was looking into possible solutions for that. I know that there was some talk about industrial TVs being the solution because they would carry a warranty where normal purchase you might see at Walmart or Best Buy wouldn't. Best Buy sells an 85-inch Samsung for about $730 plus tax. You can add an additional warranty for another $150, and my back of the napkin math says we could buy about 12 of those and self-warranty if we had to, as opposed to buying the industrial TVs. Just an idea to throw out there. Also, our meeting structure. I was hoping you might take a friendly suggestion. When we have these presentations by developers about apartment buildings or anything that has a lot of slides that gets the folks riled up, maybe not tonight, but a couple of meetings ago we had a lot of people in here because of the apartment building over by Everton. I think it'd be a really great idea to have the open comments be after the presentation. That way people aren't getting up here guessing about what they're upset about. Maybe they could be informed and then make comments based on the facts that they've seen instead of getting up and just saying, I don't want that thing that sounds bad without knowing all the details. But finally, the Public Works building, I'm sorry I'm beating this dead horse here. I've been digging more and more into the Public Works building project, and I've been looking at the needs analysis document that's on our website. And I couldn't help but notice that the staffing projections seem to be a lot of what's driving the needs for this project at currently $40 million, give or take, if I remember right. The staffing projections say that currently we have one administrator and 16 men and women that are working hands-on full-time, and then 20 seasonal employees. The projections are to increase our full-time employees to 30 within the next 8 years, and that's 7 administrators from 1. And I have no doubt we could use some more help in all departments, but it seems like a huge jump to go from 1 administrator to 7 for the Public Works Department. And then also our seasonal employees to go from 20 to 35 in the next 8 years. And I'm just wondering where we came up with those numbers. I don't believe there's a plan to annex large amounts of neighboring communities. So I can't see us needing almost double the number of snowplow drivers or almost double the number of any other type of seasonal worker that we might have. And I was hoping you guys might be able to shed some light on that.
Yeah, so in this format, that's typically not how this goes,
Okay.
but more than willing to sit down with you and staff to have that conversation, explain that, or just staff alone, because you bring up some very valid points. Absolutely.
Because if it's scary to see those numbers double in 8 years, by 2044, we're supposed to have 9 administrators and 29 full-time employees and 42 seasonal. And again, the numbers just aren't numbering, if you know what I'm saying. And I'd really appreciate it. I'm going to take you up on that and follow up with you guys maybe offline here. Thank you so much for listening, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. Anyone else here to speak to any city matter? All right, seeing none, we will go into the consent agenda. Anyone willing to make a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda items A through M.
I would second that.
All right, motion, second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, and the consent agenda is approved. Go right into regular agenda items. Item 8A, Parkland dedication fee study, and Abby.
We cross our fingers on this text system again tonight. Look at that. First time's a charm. All right, thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Tonight we wanted to brief you.
Can I just,
Yeah.
the only thing is we don't have them up here. so-
Oh, I thought
Almost, right?
See it now, Mayor?
I do.
Yeah.
we have it on ours. Okay. Why don't you go blank? Clear them all.
Spoke too soon, I guess.
Do we have power to these screens at all? I don't even see a light on them. Like, somehow,
Are they actually, do they do it?
they're all shut off.
Oh, that's the problem.
Takes an engineer in the room to figure that out, I guess, huh?
Sound engineer.
Excellent. You ready? Thank you. So tonight, for your consideration is acceptance of the Parkland dedication study and then direction to staff regarding an increase in the fee in lieu of land dedication. So this was done as part of the, there we go. This is done as part of the park system plan update that was done by Public Works and the Parks Division over this last several months. Minnesota statute allows cities to request a reasonable portion of developable developments, subdivisions essentially, for usable public open space, parks, playgrounds, trails, all of that sort of thing. It includes in here that if we did want to have a parkland dedication ordinance, that we need to then have a capital plan and we need to be able to have a budget for those park systems. So as part of the park system plan update, there is a capital component that gets embedded into the city's 10-year capital plan. In looking through our history, it looks like the city itself has had an ordinance since 1969 that required 10% land dedication, and at the time it was $50 a lot. So that historical increase, part of the reason that I went through this exercise is to understand not only how those fees have changed over the years, but when those changes occurred, and predominantly I was looking mostly for a basis for rationale, because the current fees that we have, it definitely was brought up as at the Parks Commission of how did we get to our current fee of $2,500 a unit and $7,000 an acre. And staff couldn't say. The best we could say is this is what it's been for quite some time. And as you can see, that $2,500 a unit had been in place for over 15 years for the non-residential or for the residential development. And then in 22, when we updated our Parkland dedication ordinance, the commercial jumped to a much more consistent fair market value associated price. So again, the 2026 update you'll hear about tonight, but this identifies the needs of our park system and updates that capital plan through 2040. So the idea being establishing a plan for the future needs of our community, not just our current playground replacement requirements, but also what is outstanding land area that's to be developed within that time frame, and how much land and how much infrastructure and improvements are needed in those areas. Because again, we're not only planning for the system we have today and the upgrades that it might need, but Parkland dedication is for the future. So as part of this, we did ask for the study and the plan update to assess the fee for both residential, and I know I included commercial here, but just non-residential is what we've been trying to refer to it as. So included, not in your packet, but I know it was brought up, was looking at some comparable cities. When we look at the residential rate, you're gonna see we are quite in line with what our peer cities have. Some of the cities do have a range. That range is generally based on the density of the development. But what's interesting is there's not consistency in our comparable cities. Some, the higher dense the development is, the less the fee is. Others, the higher dense the development is, the more the fee is. There's just not a lot of consistency. Where you see a flat number though, those are per residential unit, doesn't matter the density. When you're looking at non-residential land, again, there are no consistencies whatsoever. Some of them have a per acre charge that do range as low as $9,000 an acre to almost $90,000 an acre. And then there are others that have a flat fee, as we've proposed, as our study has found as well. Others just look at a fair market value and then a valuation percentage. For the cities that don't have a non-residential fee in lieu of land dedication, this could be because there has been controversy in years over whether or not commercial or non-residential development is contributing or to the needs of the park system. As our park plan does indicate, and as planning has continued to bring up over the years, is we have just as many people coming into our community Monday through Friday, 6 to 6. Those are also still users of our system, be that they're here for work or for school or for whatever, and those are contributing to the system equally as much as new residents. Also, we do know that employers are attracted to areas with strong parks and trail systems. So that future park system need, what we've learned is that we have about $43 million in capital needs in the park system. Sorry to blow that big number out of the water there, Josh, early, but we have a lot of park needs. That's not only on our routine maintenance, but that's also new land. If we had to acquire land, that also includes all of the improvements in new park systems. So we talk about Hidden Creek, it's a great example. We've obtained land in lieu of land dedication, but we're gonna need improvements in that park in the future. Those are those costs. Then we look at what that per resident cost is. And that per resident cost is the resident population of 2040, 26,000 people. And we've come down to a residential unit number of just under 4,000. Staff really felt like it was important not to round these numbers for the commission, because we do believe that this really helps support the rationale and the justification that we have in that how we've determined our fee in lieu is down to the penny, even though pennies may not count as much anymore as they used to.
Abby,
have a
can I just
question?
ask
Yeah.
one? Did I understand you? Did you just say in 2040, our projected population is only 26,000?
That is correct. In the 2040 plan, I believe it goes up now in our 2050 plan, but I'd have to go back and double check. And then additionally, a per acre charge of just a little under 9,000 per acre for non-residential. I guess I should have put in there. I will note that the comp plan does call for, anticipate 11 new employees per acre in all of our growing areas, in those non-residentially guided areas. And we did believe, accounting for the fact that employees aren't here, 24 hours a day, we did assess that or determine that to be half of the residential rate. So that's how that is coming out to that $9,000 an acre. I will note, if you use the logic of employees might not even be here half of the time, but maybe a third of the time, that number does drop by about $3,000. It drops to just below 6,000. What our current is $7,000 an acre. So tonight, staff is bringing this for you for two reasons again. One is to accept the fee study, essentially saying that yes, we agree with this study, and then provide direction to staff to bring back an ordinance memorializing fee schedule amendments and any code changes that are necessary to implement the new fee in lieu of land dedication. Any questions?
Any questions, council?
How often is this study updated? I mean, going back to the history, there was, it seems like an evaluation maybe in '22, but the fee didn't change since 2015. It was a modest change at that point compared to 2000. So how current are we trying to keep this thing?
I think the system that we've developed, we could keep this current every year per the fee schedule. Right now, we have a land valuation ratio of 43,560 square feet, or dollars per acre, essentially assuming that it's $1 per square foot per acre right now. We could update this as often as we want now that we have this new metric. I would anticipate we'd reevaluate it annually as we're just redoing fee schedule, budget, capital impacts, those sorts of things.
If I follow along, and I mean, I read through all the packet, but basically this per residential unit is driven in large part by that capital need number of 42 million.
Correct.
So what's going to drive a change there to that capital need going forward?
Our land values are probably going to be the driving factor of that.
I mean, current estimation, though, is like we're, based on projected growth, we're grossly underparked, right? There's several acres of parks needed and trails needed, correct?
There is improvements needed within the system. That is correct.
Improvements, but also new parks.
But also new park in the future, yes,
And all of that is incorporated in this 42 million?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the number of the park system in the future. So in 2040, by 2040, 42 million.
And then this money that's raised by these residential units, fee in lieu of, that is not money that can be used for park replacement. It's just money that is set aside as we develop new parks.
Correct. It's for new improvements to the system. So it could be for a brand new playground like the Headwaters neighborhood. It could also be to help fill in gaps in trail systems where you might have a break from one neighborhood to another. And it also can be used for upgrades in existing parks. So let's just say there was such as lights at Fenway.
Okay. Or making a current park ADA compliant.
Making it ADA compliant, adding a gazebo, even so much as, if you have a playground today that's for 2 to 5, but you're gonna replace that with a 5 to 12, that increased amenity can also be eligible. It's not the intention to use this for our standard, what did we decide, 25-year park replacement? 25-year park replacement plan. It is intended that these are held in their own fund for new park improvements.
Okay, thank you.
What, currently, maybe since your time here, what percentage of the developments that you've worked with, that we've approved, are cash or land, would you say? Is it 50-50? Is it?
No, it's been a lot more cash because we have land areas. So Shadow Creek Estates, the Lennar townhome development, that was cash. The idea being that that money is kind of reserved for parks that were within that 10-minute walk commute. So we have Southview, is that what it's called? Southview Park that needs improvements. So far, all of Hidden Creek, the Headwaters neighborhood, has been, I guess there's been some land dedication, but mostly they've been contributing fee in lieu. We haven't really seen significant land dedication until Amberley Woods, where we received that very large chunk that was a lot of wet and woodland along with some highland. And then in that kind of Four Corners area, we'll be seeking some more land dedication, but then we would be shifting to fee in lieu to be able to build out that Four Corners Park area itself. The most recent development, Havenwood, that you just approved the development agreement for tonight, that one is a little interesting because it's not only land in lieu of dedication, but they are also proposing to construct the playground, develop the park amenities, and that will be potentially credited towards future phases of that development. So it's a mix at the moment in terms of land dedication and fee in lieu. I would say in the western side of the city, southwestern side of the city, there will be significantly less land dedication in future residential subdivisions, just because there's already the land that's been dedicated as part of Hidden Creek, and then the potential Headwaters Park Reserve that we've been talking about. East of 61, where we definitely start moving both, further east towards Harrow, I could see us having maybe potential of 2 other parks, one closer to Highway 97 that kind of helps connect some trail systems through there, and then also maybe one that's, closer to County Road 50. Though I will say I have not looked at the updated park plan to see where those have been scouted out and whether or not the Four Corners Park serves that neighborhood sufficiently. Or that sub-neighborhood. It's a pretty large area over there. From County Road 50 to 97's pretty big. I'd say it's arguably more than 10-minute walk from County Road 50 to that new park area that we're planning.
Council, any other questions? Two things. Can you go back to the comparables? Thank you. And then there was some comps in what I think that in the Bolton and Menk study on the next item, or I don't know if that was included in this packet, where it called out for some.
We did. We had some other comparable cities that, and I would have to pull those up. I don't have it printed right in front of me. They do have slightly, what I would say, maybe some lower. If you can give me a second.
Well, and maybe you don't have to. I don't know. That was, I guess, I had asked for to see more of our normal comp, which is what you provided here, which is great, because in those initial ones that were in the report, the packet, they were considerably lower compared to where we are proposing to go, or what the recommendation is from the park board. So it's just weird that there's that much difference there. The other thing is, I find it interesting, so Hugo and Hastings on these, so are we saying we know for sure that they are not charging any park dedication dollars or anything on commercial properties down there?
I haven't reached out to their development directors or parks offices. This was all just based on fee schedule information. So some of this might have been a little bit further into dig. Our finance team helped us with this, and to be honest with you, it just didn't end up kind of trying to fill in those blanks any bit more. Like I said, the non-residential fee in lieu of land dedication has been controversial. Amanda might have some better guidance. I know that there have been lawsuits out there about whether or not it was even legal to require land dedication for commercial subdivisions. She might be able to speak to the current status of that. I do believe that maybe warded off some municipalities from charging that for non-residential developments.
And then Rosemont, 50 to 90K an acre?
Yeah, so it's hard for me to tell if that is that percentage. So if it's, if it's 10% of the land area and they only had to dedicate 1/10 of an acre, how that number gets reduced. I, again, didn't dig into the methodology as much. But yes, there are some developments that I will say definitely end up paying more as part of where they're located, but I'd have to double check that one. And I certainly, if the council isn't ready tonight to move forward, I certainly can do some more information on this.
You know, so, and for us, can you go back to what our proposal is?
Yes, so
So the-
392909 per residential unit, just in comparison, that's about on par for Prior Lake, Ramsey, Elk River, and then 896681 for non-residential, and that is, you know, in line again with Prior Lake, with White Bear Lake. We do recognize that the closer you get to this city of Forest Lake, some of our other peer communities are lower.
I don't have too much of an issue with the residential side. No one wants to see that fee go any higher. The commercial side, you know, for example, if we were, and we've talked about this conversation, whether or not on our own public works, if we're gonna charge ourselves the same kind of fees that we're charging developers. And looking at that, and I know we potentially have some land to donate, but on 26 acres, that's like $230,000 in park fees that we would be paying for that building. So it just seems as though when you have some cities that we don't even know are charging residential, and we're gonna be in the higher end of our peers, other than Rosemont, I guess that one's the one that gives me a little bit of heartache. And this is on top of commercial property owner taxpayers already paying the majority of the property taxes in the city. And so that's just whatever, that's how government is, the narrative is, well, they can afford it because it's commercial in their business, so let's hit them harder. I have a problem with that. And so, and maybe it's a biased I have, just based on having some commercial properties, but I think it's worth a conversation. So I don't know if I'd be ready to move on that part of it unless I'm in the minority here on that.
Abby, could you go back to the history of our increases, please?
Yep, I will say, as I mentioned, Mayor Roberts, the 1/2 of the residential rate, dropping that to 1/3, does bring it down to just under 6,000, which would drop the commercial rate from what it is right now. I will be honest, though I was here when our commercial rate jumped to 7,000 in '22, I had been here all of about 15 total days. I don't even know if those were business days. So I'm not sure why that jump occurred, other than probably to reflect those fair market values, to try to keep it in line with some of the commercial development.
Yeah, I guess, given that the non-residential has increased significantly in the last handful of years versus the residential, you know, I think it's probably worth a closer study, you know, or verification. You know, again, you didn't have a chance to dig into the methodology of our peer cities on the non-residential side. So before we move to a fairly significant jump on both of them, I guess I'd probably like to better understand where we stack up compared to our peer cities. You know, maybe just take that extra, you know, meeting, if you will, to do that additional research. Because just given the fact that that one has adjusted significantly more than the residential.
So I hear what you're saying in terms of getting additional information from our peer cities, but are you also then asking for an understanding of why there was such a significant jump in '22? Okay.
No, I don't need to understand that. I mean, it is what it is. But, I mean, like you said, you didn't have a chance to kind of look past the first page on some of the stuff. So let's just verify. I mean, is Rosemont really charging 50 to 90? Is Hastings and Hugo really not charging? Like, let's wrap our heads and hands around that. So we can either make an informed decision to keep it where it is, or to make an adjustment if it seems like it's more appropriate. This is what I'd just like to see on the non-residential side.
Sure. I would say that I'm happy to do that. I would say that if anything, we should be looking to also have that conversation of whether or not half the residential rate is appropriate, or if there is a different share, and I can bring some of that additional information back to you.
That'd be great.
Any additional feedback or thoughts, or?
I agree. I think we need to look at it a little bit more closely and just get some more information.
Specifically on the non-residential, or would you like some more analysis on the actual residential side of things?
I'm more concerned about commercial myself. And then Abby, what did you base, I mean, maybe I missed it in there, but did you have a projection of how many developments in this plan, kind of basing these numbers and these increases on to get to that number of 17, 18 more million dollars by 2050?
So it's based on the capital improvement plan as it exists today.
Okay, the one that,
The
okay,
additional land area that would be needed for acquisition if we had to buy Parkland.
right,
And then the value of the improvements for each of those future parks
okay,
to indicate that 42 million. So the existing capital improvement plan today is about 26 million.
correct,
And then you add in then that additional,
18.
yeah, I was gonna say, I'm not great at hot math and Ellie's not here, so.
So maybe another question, what has been the general feedback from developers, both commercial or a developer who's gonna have to charge X amount per lot? Are they like, whoa, this is crazy, or, because I've never heard any negative feedback about it. No one's come to me and said, geez, I can't believe you guys are charging, because typically that's what I hear if they're upset about something being too high. So that doesn't seem to be a lot of
I mean,
angst.
I haven't brought this for feedback, and I certainly can talk with our current
I'm
developers.
actually just talking about the existing, where we're at
We have not.
currently.
Even the $7,000 an acre on our newest commercial development, the garage condo project, just, there was not even a question or a negotiation. This is very, land dedication is very standard acceptance in the development community, and then paying the fee in lieu has almost become the norm more than land dedication. I would say in some areas, we've actually had to kind of, I don't want to say fight is not a good word there, but a really strong arm of how much land dedication is really important in certain areas. I don't want to say that wasn't the case at all with Amberley Woods, and the Twin Cities land development has been great, but we've had other landowners or developers in the area that are concerned that the land dedication reduces the amount of, properties they could potentially develop in those areas, and they'd rather pay a fee in lieu. Those fees, especially when it is a set fee, is an easy pass-through cost. So the Parks Commission did talk about, just the question of increased development costs. I would say a $4,000 charge fee on a lot is nominal compared to all of the other infrastructure improvements that are required. But then also having a park within 10 minutes of where you live is really valuable.
That fee, though, isn't per lot, is it? Isn't it per acre?
The non-residential is
Oh, the
per lot.
residential is per lot, I'm sorry.
Yep, per residential unit.
Okay.
But then, yes, the non-residential would be per acre.
Yeah, and with all of our wetlands, that's, for most of them, it really works out well.
You do take out all that wet area, because we do look at the net developable area.
What would you say, with all those fees you just mentioned, on an average standard lot, 65 or 75 by whatever, in some of these new developments, what is that, all the infrastructure fees plus Parkland, what's an average?
I would need to do some.
Okay,
some
that would be
math.
nice to know and part of the conversation, because, we talk about affordable housing and everything, and if you're charging what excess could be, maybe $15,000, $20,000 between hookup and sack and whack and all that, that's
How was Lisa?
at least that, a minimum probably, that just, it adds up in a hurry.
Well, yeah, didn't our last park cost us nearly $1 million to improve?
Yeah,
I
I mean,
mean-
Belts Park, when you look at it, we spent 1.5
Close to
on what's there today, so
It's a lot of money.
it is. I mean, I think the running theme for a while in this council has been infrastructure upgrades and improvements aren't cheap. And this is one way to help disperse that cost over, through a variety of means.
Yeah, I guess if the feedback so far hasn't been that, not negative, or people are having a hard time, would I have maybe less of an issue of adjusting that non-commercial to that certain rate? But if we could just maybe have that information and come back, I think it'd be better.
Sure.
I would feel more comfortable with making a final decision with
Not
a little bit
problem.
more information.
I agree.
So, okay,
I have enough direction, and thanks.
thanks. 8B, Parks Master Plan Approval. We'll we'll start with Dave, right?
I'll just here to introduce Josh from Bolton and Menk. He's integral part of the Parks Master Plan. Began last fall, so we've been working almost a year on putting this together. So I don't want to steal what he's presenting, so I'll just let him take off. Except for now, he doesn't have his PowerPoint.
All right, welcome, Josh.
Okay, welcome. Thank you. Hopefully this works too. And I'll also say, thanks Abby, for kind of teeing everything up, even though it's one piece of this
Maybe it'll
larger system plan.
Save you time. Is that you?
Do I need to do it? It is this one, but it's showing up twice. Is there anything I need to do with the one that's on the screen?
I would just say hit the presentation mode up in your upper left-hand corner of your PowerPoint. Left-hand side.
I know where that one's
Oh,
at.
there.
So hopefully that one works. Okay, so park system plan, we've been working at this since really late last year, November, but we picked it up from efforts that had previously got some things together through a grant from Washington County. So this is really an update that's bringing everything together and providing that comprehensive look between now and 2040. Quick schedule, just to kind of show where we got started, where we're at. We did have a couple different things that we took time to really unpack between April, I'll say April through July. One of those was an outdoor rec study with the school district that Dave Kyle worked with the school district on with Ballard King, and then also working through a lot of the information for the Parkland dedication fee study. The general system, and I won't go through everything, just have a few slides, but basically 6 different pieces from intro to trends, confirming vision, looking at existing conditions, and then really number 5 and 6 are recommendations and implementation strategies. The trends I do have on this slide just to give a quick synopsis of some of the items that, at least nationally, and at least larger regional are coming up, which is demographic changes, work-life balance, and people really wanting to work from home or have more fluidity in where they work, including parks. Tech and how tech can really leverage wider programming, awareness of different systems, even the types of amenities are within parks itself. Pickleball still continues to be a driver, demand. Barks in the parks, or like dog park, dark park amenities continue to also be a driver, especially as people have tended to, there are more households with pets since the, COVID and the pandemic than there were even before. And then partnerships, really looking at the, how partners can help to program, get the word out, and then also help drive some change. I do splash up the park system vision. It's probably small to see on the screen, but the reason I put this up here is the 2014 plan. Items 1, 2, and 3 were derived from that plan. They didn't see any change. When we looked at it in 2022 and also this year when we were going through the system plan, the one thing that did get added was number 4, and that was in response to that previous discussion and really looking at the healthy communities and the drivers that really spearhead that. Overall, it's really looking at connectivity, access to healthy systems and park space of various types. The existing park system really looks at a couple of different things. We pulled information from the website, from the 2014 plan. Working with Abby's staff, we actually also identified some additional parkland that was out there that we didn't even know about for the 2014 plan, and we have those on here. The other thing is you might notice under the Woods Park, Hidden Creek, we've added in those parks that have been to the point where they're going to be part of the system plan, so we're looking at those through this effort. And we've got all of them numbered and kind of showing where they're at within the community. The little graphic on the bottom right shows a projection of growth. And so we're using that just to try to look more where there are parks, where's that need really going to trend toward, and looking at a couple of different metrics to balance those out. One important aspect of the system plan is it actually looks at, I want to say, changing some classifications to get it in line with the National Recreation and Park Association, or the kind of the national agency that serves as a clearinghouse for metrics, looks at the different size of agencies across the country, staffing, amount of dollars that are going into parks, size of parks, et cetera. Classification is one of those items. School amenities and private parks are in the current system as well. For space, I just pulled those out, so I'm just showing it as one. But the only real change would be other parks would go away, and things would get classified in according to the best fit between many neighborhood, community, special use, or natural resource area open space. And the way that we've done the plan is added a classification in the recommendations section to the park that would fit its future purpose in the system. So something like Southview that may not have a lot of amenities right now is being shown as a neighborhood park because that's the purpose that it needs to get developed to fulfill for the city. And then providing the flexibility for city staff or the city to be able to determine what the best fit is as the plan builds out. I have one other thing I will say on this slide is classifications are important because this is what will get folded into the comprehensive plan, and then kind of both documents talking together to drive change. I've got a couple of slides in here on some of the survey responses, 2022 as well as 26. The things from this one is really the other top priorities in terms of dog parks, loop trails or connectivity, additional recreational amenities. I would point out the, I'm trying to find it, very upper left. 31 to 54 was the largest respondee from that survey. And then something that was unique for that survey was breaking the community down into different segments to get an understanding of natural boundaries within the community, but then also what are some of those differences based on what's there and what people are asking for within the system. So between both surveys happening in a fairly short period of time, over 750 responses. You'll note that the larger percentage is again that 31 to 45. So it's kind of young families, active adults. Gives a signifier maybe of what some of the responses might have been. The chart on the left gives a good approximation, at least for those participants, on how long they've been with the community. So you've got quite a few that have been here for 11 plus years, but also getting a few respondees that have only been here for 4 years or less, getting to know the community. The chart at the upper right gives an idea of how often people are using the parks, how many times per week, or if they are, which parks are being used most frequently, and the way that people are using the parks the most, being on the bottom right. And a lot of them are related to connectivity, natural space, or social aspects. Some additional data, I'm not going to go through all of these per se, but reiterating what I had just said, and then number of comments, what we did was pulled some different things together based on topic to give an idea of how many of those comments from the survey related to groupings. So more trails, walking, biking paths, there were 68 responses directly related to that, or parking related had 15. So trying to get that, I'm going to say the top 10, seeing if I can visually do math right. I had mentioned NRPA before. One of the things this plan did was really looking at some benchmarks based on what other communities of a similar size to Forest Lake have. The chart on the left is all administrative related, so it's looking at costs, looking at staff, looking at participants per program, and the one takeaway on this that was also looked at as part of that outdoor field study with the school district is basically the current operating, the community's lower than average, just in terms of the, expenditures per capita, the revenue per capita. You can look at the different numbers based on what's typical where Forest Lake is in the deficit, upper deficit or surplus. There are a couple of areas where it shows higher, and partially that is a result of them being below on total staff to peers across the country. So that's driving that up because they're just doing more over a similar number of acres. And then the chart on the right is looking at fields or amenities themselves, and it's doing the same deficit or surplus. And I don't know that, there was anything that really stood out in here as much that wasn't talked about maybe with the outdoor sports fields. Study gets a little bit more in detail. The one thing I will note is walking, hiking trails. You've got your current quantity, the projected need by 2040 based on population, showing a deficit of 12.1. And as a check, the plan actually, in the next basically 8 to 10 years, shows for about 14 miles of trail need to add. So it kind of maps things out or gets things in line.
Quick question. Just in current quantity, looking at things like football field, soccer field, that sort of thing. Out at Fenway, there's a lot of green space that I know community or groups use those football fields. I've spent plenty of Saturday mornings out there. Do we not get credit for any of that?
Yeah, so this doesn't look at, it just looks at city-owned. It doesn't look at the, that flex space with the school district. I know that one of the appendices to this report that Ballard King did dives into that a little bit more. But then if it's flex space and not actually programmed for, one thing or another or both, it's shown as a different categorization. So that would be something to bear in mind.
Thank you.
Yep. So recommendations, basically 5 categories: parks, awareness and programming, natural resource sustainability, connectivity, accessibility, operations and management. There's an initiative, which I believe we had 18, and then recommendations that support each of those initiatives, and then broke those down, I'll say from high level of need to, or priority to lower. So 1 to 3 being high, 8 to 10 being lower, then have the symbols for that. On the right, I've pretty much broken things down. There's a couple that I added based on this being more of a description of the initiatives rather than just copying and pasting everything over. So 1 through 6 are parks related, and that's aligning the classifications, making sure there was a plan for each of the parks, so we know what improvements we want to make for each of those park systems, understanding the gaps in the system and how we want to fill them, actually see those upgrades, perform a regular community recreation audit. Are we still meeting the needs or have things changed? Is there an area that's developing a little bit quicker than anticipated that might need to have an improvement sooner than later? 7 through 10, then align with awareness and programming. A lot of parks in the community, but awareness by all the residents isn't necessarily there. You've got a lot of spaces that a few people know if they live close, but others may not be aware of them. Or they might have changed over time and just not aware of what you can do in those facilities. The other piece on that is really looking at community partnered or programming related events and seeing if there's a way to bolster that through partnerships. 11 through 13 really look at sustainability and resilience, both training for staff and then just understanding what the needs are in terms of water quality and protecting the natural resources, making those available long-term for the community. 14 through 16 is all connectivity accessibility, so that's gaps and sidewalks, trails, expanding connectivity to parks and major systems within the community. And then the last 4 are relating to operations and management and looking at connectivity, communication, making sure that people understand, or commission, council, staff understanding roles, responsibilities, and getting things in line from that perspective. So recommended park system plan, included in the recommendations chapter, looks at the locations of parks, looks at the new classifications, is still considering that chart in terms of the projected growth and the equitable offerings of parks, introduces some future park service areas, and really looking at where might we be missing some amenities currently, or missing something that we could add land to the system, or diversify what's currently there. So for instance, in the bottom left corner, future park service area, or FP S2, it's a SUP, special use park. That one's looking at that JD4 stormwater park as an opportunity for a new park space, what it could add to the community from that perspective, and also potentially serving for a catalyst for something like Bixby, and seeing a similar opportunity for there down the road. There are some other areas like number 10 all the way over Cranberry Heights on the east side. It's a former Parkland dedication area that's pretty much landlocked behind residential, with like a sliver of space to the east that might be able to provide some access, but putting those in the areas of future neighborhood park need, figuring out what that actually means, would that space work? Some of the logistics would need to be sorted out. And then similar to the parks plan, recommended trail system plan, again, looking at connectivity, this identifies projects that are currently in different systems to occur a little bit sooner than later. Those are the thinner dashed lines. And then really for the focus of this plan, or at least the next 10 years, would be mainly the purple and blue. So most of the areas in and around the currently developed sites, but tracking out the need for longer term connectivity needs. Which brings us to implementation. It's several pages in the document, but trying to provide more of a synopsis tonight. Between low, medium, high priorities, the total that we're looking at over that 10-year period, depending on range of things, could be anywhere from that 30 to 37 million. The higher priority, which would be the 1 to 3 years sooner, a lower number, only about 250,000 to 420. Recognizing that these are things that might be lower hanging fruit, easier to do, also that they could be accomplished without a lot of lead time to see improvements. And then the chart on the right-hand side, this was a lot of, the left-hand side is a lot of planning related work and understanding that there are a lot of needs that have to happen to understand everything that we need from a more granular level. So the right-hand side is projecting out what that could look like in terms of design, buildable, constructible dollars. And that's doing the same thing, a 1 to 3, 4 to 7, 8 to 10. This accounts for improvements like the Lakeside Park, like dock and improvements to that master plan. Some of the other plans that the city has done is try to fold all of these in. So we have a little bit more comprehensive look. And then these numbers were all, I'll say, fed into a chart working with Abby and Dave that helped to program out the Parkland dedication fee data. And then we have appendices in the back, and A through H, the outdoor athletic facilities study is H, is the one that Ballard King worked on with Kyle and Dave. Included the JD stormwater park concepts in F, and then there are, all the survey materials, the meeting minutes, to provide a more comprehensive look at the planning study, but keeping them all in the back, organized, so it's a little bit easier to sift through the plan itself. And then my final slide, I guess, before questions, is just really wanting to thank everybody who participated in this, the community level commission. Staffing was a lot of work, and pulled a lot of different things together through conversations, open houses, survey responses. And I'm sure that I probably missed somebody, but always at least like having this acknowledgement.
Where does this document reside? Because these appendices aren't in our packet. Is it,
It's the master plan,
is it on the website?
yeah,
Okay.
well, there was a link on your packet to go to it.
Oh, I missed that.
It was 435 pages, so we just didn't put it in the packet.
The one other thing I should say is that we developed this plan so it meets those web accessibility guidelines. So once it's on the website, it'll have all of the right coding. It will mean things for like a screen reader. It's been developed with that in mind.
Perfect, thank you.
Dave, or maybe if I'm missing this somewhere, was there strong support from the Park Commission, I would assume? Any things that they saw maybe needed something changing or tweaking, or they pretty much aligned?
They were pretty much in line. They were more in depth with it because we came back every month and gave them an update of the plan, so they were kind of seeing it piece by piece, more than you're kind of seeing all 400 pages at once. So Josh would show up at workshops or at commission meetings and give an update of where we're at, what we've been going through, and then also just the subcommittee with the steering committee had some people from the Parks Commission on there as well. So yeah, they saw a lot more of the nuts and bolts of this than you're seeing. And Josh wanted to go through all 435 pages today, and I told him we just didn't have enough time. But there's a lot of information in there. So it was very thoroughly done, and like you said, I also thank all the people on the steering committee, the Parks Commission, Kyle, Josh, everybody. There's a lot of work that went into putting this together.
Questions?
Yeah, I think our residents deserve to kind of have a plan. I think we owe it to them to kind of implement and guide this plan and have a resource out there for people to look at. So as we're developing these areas and redeveloping these parks and things like that, the community knows what we're doing. And I think long range, we just need to, we owe it to them to make sure we have these amenities for them in our city.
I would agree. I think it helps city council too, in the sense that we're on city council now, and then in a few years, if there's changeover, this will help them to see the future and see what it looks like. Because I know when you're running for city council or on city council, people are like, hey, when is this trail gonna get redone? Or when is this park's gonna get redone? Or in my neighborhood, there isn't a park at all. Is there going to be a future park? And we can look at this, and this is just the guideline for us, for the community. And so it helps for today, but also plan for the future. Even though the dollar amount hurts. And it's brutal to look at.
Well, I think what jumped out at me from this presentation was just how much we're currently doing,
Yeah.
and how under-resourced our Parks Department, and compared to the U.S. Park and Recreation Agency for populations our size. I mean, it's a significant, stark difference between what we've been investing versus these other peers, which doesn't mean we're going to jump right to their spending, of course.
Right.
But the other thing that on that same page I mean, there's a number of amenities that we already have, and maybe even have more of, for example, baseball, softball fields, and I know that's an area that we've been investing in terms of just maintenance and so forth. So, yeah, I mean, I think this is a very well thought out plan, no doubt about that. The level of investment that's required to get there is obviously significant, and will have to be sequenced appropriately as we just continue to try to steward things well.
So I would make a motion to adopt the Forest Lake Park Master Plan as the city's official long-range planning document for guiding the future parks, recreation trails, and open space planning and investment decisions.
I'll second.
All right, motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, everyone that was recognized already here. Great work. 8C, Eureka Avenue Improvement Project Changeover. Ryan.
Mayor, City Council, tonight enclosed in your packets is change order number 2 for Forest Lake Contracting for compensation for the cost increases for the project delays due to the delay with the DNR roadway easements that was obtained and required for the project. So if you recall, that easement took nearly 20 months to obtain, a lot longer than the 9 to 12 months we were originally told. So with that and through the government shutdown, and then the city wanted to go out for bid to see where the project actually stood. So on November 10th, we awarded the project to Forest Lake Contracting and also included alternates 3 and 4. Alternate 3 was the shoreline restoration work that's Rice Creek would be paying. And alternate 4 was the decorative blue fencing. That was the change within some of the project aesthetics. So with that though, in that November 10th award, it was already estimated and outlined in the recommendation memo that potential price increases up to $265,000 would be anticipated with the project. That was with the understanding that we'd be able to do construction in that area outside that DNR easements. And then we'd come back here in 2027 and do that area that we're still waiting on that easements. But as you recall that then the weather came in hard and fast, and that kind of really shut down the work as we couldn't place surcharge material on frozen ground. So now we're in discussion with the project being delayed an entire year, and then wear course and final striping and stuff like that would be in 28 or 27, sorry. No, it's 26 right now. So the construction would be 27. We'd still place surcharge material this year and have that 9 months there. So with that, once we got our DNR easement in May, then we were able to start negotiating that change order with the contractor. City staff was involved as long as us as well. So back in January, working with finance, we estimated a budget of $450,000 was prepared in anticipation of that price increase. That also included extra $180,000 for the streetlights, and then another $55,000 for recommendations from the geotech company after the project was awarded on surcharge placement and material to be placed. And then other construction materials testing with $81,000. So with that, on July 17th, when we obtained the first stab at it from Forest Lake Contracting, they were at approximately $430,000, which was about 12.7% increase from the original bid amounts. The pricing reflected full compensation and construction delay for the work instead of just the half, like I just mentioned. Contractor proposed no increased price for 39 of 110 bid items. Many of the price increases are related to increases in oil pricing, which affects fuel costs, trucking costs, and oil-based materials, HDPE, PVC pipe, geogrid, geotextile fabrics. We reviewed the submitted pricing. We did negotiate some of the bid items to a lower amount. Total negotiated price for the change order number 2 is $414,604.11. Which is approximately just over 12% increase from the original award. Note though, second lowest bid was just over $578,000 higher than Forest Lake Contracting. So even with the increase associated with change order 2, the project cost is still just over $164,000 lower than the second lowest bid back when we bid the project. So as also noted, that change order number 2 price in the paragraph of that's $414,604. $41,358 of that is part of alternate 3, which will be paid by Rice Creek Watershed District. They have agreed to do that too, so. Some of the aggregates and bituminous quantities still do have that 15% contingencies in the quantity calculations. That's typical on street projects. So if you do run into something that, you know, you would already have that quantity built into the project. So that's still some contingency built into the project. Also remember when we went and got the quotes and then we ordered those lights when we did instead of waiting, we saved a lot of money on that. So we're paying Foresight Contracting, and that's change order number 1 for $148,000 versus $180,000 that we budgeted at that time. So that's, you know, some contingency still built there. And then just kind of laying out some other contingencies and other costs that I had put in, we're still carrying at today, if we were to award this, approximately $243,000 in contingencies. That also being said, we've been working with City of Columbus on their portion of their project. They want to basically purchase their portion of the project so they can go bid that separately. They have to go bid it separately based on the funding that they've obtained. That's approximately $67,000. The additional surcharge material recommendations have been in the estimate since January. So that would be coming forward once that work is complete, you know, done. So we would know the final quantity, approximately estimated at $55,000. That's built in that budget, still that contingency. The other thing that would be added is a potential change order that we know today is you guys have wanted staff to start working. What does this look like on road closures through the winter? Do we leave it up? You know, so once we get more closer to knowing the contractor's schedule, then that we're able to bring a more accurate change order back if you wanted that to run through the contract. Probably do, just because of the horsepower and manpower it would take from Public Works. If we do that, we need more time to work through that with City of Columbus and obviously bring back to you guys, hey, are we gonna leave northbound lane open or are we gonna close it entirely and all that? But when traffic control sits out there, there's a daily charge, right? So that's just something that would be coming back in the future if we decided to run it through the contract. So other things just to consider if this change order obviously was not approved and the city decides to take a different direction, handful of things laid out. Obviously, we've been dealing with a contractor who's purchased material and stuff through the project, so we would have some claims there to pay out, and there would probably be some project delay going through state aid and the LRP grants, and potentially forfeiting another year of construction. Then obviously this is the way things are going in the world right now and what we're seeing in price increases, we're probably not gonna be in any better position than we are right now. Well, actually, we know we wouldn't be. You know, we got a really, really good bid, and even with everything that we've gone through and worked through, at the end of the day, we're still $164,221 lower than second bid back in November of '25. So if City Council agrees with staff recommendations, we recommend the council approve construction contract change order number 2 for Foresight Contracting in the amount of $414,604.11. I'll open up with questions.
Council, questions? Comments?
Well, it's very well laid out, and I suspect that even if we wanted to entertain other bids, that they would likely be increased in price as well with oil costs and so forth. So, I mean, it seems to make sense to me to move forward. I don't know where the language is that you're looking for. in the
Yeah,
packet.
you know, it was a favorable bid from the beginning, thankfully. This is unfortunate timing worked this way. A lot of it was completely out of our control. As a reminder that this was money that we received for the state to do. It's a much needed project. The road's a mess now, especially after all the traffic with 97. It'll add a lot of pedestrian safety and some fishing opportunities. So I think it's a great project, and regardless of the unfortunate situation of going up this much, we move forward, is my thought.
Any chance the DNR wants to compensate us for their delays?
They're the ones that really need the road, right? Because they have the boat launch and the facilities, and for us to have to go through the process that we did is just unimaginable for a easement of a roadway that we're gonna own and maintain.
Right, anyone?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. Make a motion to approve construction contract change order number 2 for Forest Lake Contracting, Inc. in the amount of $414,604.11.
I'll second.
Right, motion is second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. No discussion items this evening. We'll go right into staff updates, and Ryan.
Mayor, City Council, just want to put on your radar, the County Road 50 corridor study has kicked off and moving forward. A lot of information gathering at this point in time, but they are ramping up for their first open house, October 1st, 2026, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Washington County Government Center down in the Hardwick Creek area. So I'll keep reminding you of that, but just know that that's coming up. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of interest in there, a lot of development going in that area, and what the corridor study is looking at. So just want to put that on your radar. Any other questions about anything else? All right.
Amanda, do you have anything for us?
No updates, Mayor.
All right. Abby?
Just a few. I want to thank you for the approval tonight of the hire in the Building Inspections Division. Just for reference, Jeremiah Dean, he goes by JD, so I couldn't think, there's so many J's sometimes. Actually works with the city right now as our Safe Belt inspector, so he's been with Safe Belt for 8 months, and I think a little over 4 of that he's been working here in Forest Lake. He's got quite a bit of familiarity. He's owned his own contracting company for about 10 years, and so he's got some good industry knowledge. We're really excited to bring him on board and help continue to rebuild that division. Do also want to announce, if you did see the weekly updates last week, we did accept the resignation of Don Bogey and the planning zoning team, so we will be going out for a community development assistant position in the near future as we kind of just look to see what kind of updates we might need for the job description, but continue to try to see if we can't fill that vacancy. Don's going to be missed. She's been really supportive of rebuilding this department and those administrative functions. And then lastly, I think we've provided you with some updates on Judicial Ditch 4, but Amanda and I were able to meet with the DNR last week, kind of get some final direction from them in continuing to move forward with hopefully some actionable items for you next month. So keeping that at the top of our list.
Thank you. Dave?
Just a couple things. If you've been in the southeast, you've probably seen Bayview Park under construction. So playground has been taken out, and we've done some subgrade work. Curbing's going in later this week. Then the blacktop will get removed and replaced, and followed by the playground right after Labor Day. So hopefully, majority of it should be done by the end of September and be back open again. Second thing is Arts in the Park tomorrow night. So there's only 3 left. It's hard to imagine there's only 3 Arts in the Parks left for the year, but looks like it's going to be a nice out. So head down there if you get a chance.
Are you looking for any council or anyone to help with the corn feed, or does the Parks Commission have that pretty well staffed, or?
I'll leave that. I believe Kyle's been coordinating that.
Okay.
I think the Parks Commission has first chance at it, and then the beautification gals have been helping out for the last few years. So last year there was plenty back there. So which is great. You need more hands, the better back there. So, but if we do need extra help, I'll definitely bring that up at the next council meeting.
Okay, great. Chief Newman?
Last Tuesday was Night to Unite. Forest Lake PD and Forest Lake Fire attended over 30 parties. Party started at 12:30 in the afternoon and went as late as 8:30, and Between police and fire, we were able to hit every single party for Forest Lake and for PD and Anoka, or Columbus in Anoka County for Forest Lake Fire. Last Thursday also, Old Engine 1 was picked up by Little Falls Fire Department, so that is finally the last piece of surplus apparatus that we have, so that's gone. And then today, Forest Lake Police and Fire participated in a Hooks and Heroes event at the Forest Lake Beach. That was through Let's Go Fishing. It was the first annual. It was for Forest Lake and surrounding area use, and they participated in fishing, a casting competition, water and boat safety, and lake bugs and weeds identification through the watershed. So it ended up being a success, and they'll look at doing that again next year. That's all I have for updates.
Thank you. Amanda, anything?
No updates.
Jolene?
The budget survey will be launching this week, probably by end of day tomorrow, so look for that on our social media and our website. We'll get some QR codes out that we can put out the last few remaining Arts in the Park events as well, but please share that survey so we can get input from our community members about what they envision for strategic priorities for the council and the city's budget. Tomorrow is primary election day. There's 5 polling locations in the city of Forest Lake that will be open for voters, 2 of which are city facilities. So here at the city center, the community room will be tied up tomorrow with primary election voting, and then the senior center as well. So busy day for elections tomorrow.
Thank you. Councilmember Miller?
Haven't given a school update in a while, so I will give one. As you all know, Dr. Massey's last day was June 30th, after 27 years of serving our community, so I'd like to really say thank you to him and show our appreciation from the council. Mr. Jacobson has taken over as superintendent. We're still short 1 board member on the school board, and it sounds like that's going to be decided in election time. So that's all I have for updates.
Thank you. Councilmember Valento?
Nothing from me tonight.
Councilmember Erickson?
I just want to wish Dawn well in her new role. I know she's been a key part of the team, and just attended the Economic Development Authority meeting last Monday night, and it was policy night. So both business subsidy and tax income and financing, lots of great discussion, and that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. I would also like to thank Dawn for all her dedication and just a pleasant person whenever I was in City Hall. She was always great to have a conversation, so wish her the best of luck. And I had the honor of going with Chief Newman on a couple of those neighborhood visits, and the food is always good, and everyone has a great time, and it's just great to see the community out and enjoying each other and connecting. So with no other business ahead coming forward, then we are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.